So Prabhupada was emphasizing this more than anything else, was to understand how to love Krishna and how to surrender to Krishna with a mood of love and trust and cooperation. And that was why I think that our movement spread, because you had a conglomeration of all kinds of misfits. People coming from drunken parents, coming from the Vietnam War, drug addiction, I mean jail, guys who've been criminals in jail since they were little kids, and yet somehow or another we were able to cooperate and establish the Hare Krishna movement. It was never called ISKCON in those days either. It was always the Hare Krishna people or the Hare Krishna movement. Even Prabhupada said the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He never said ISKCON. So a lot of changes have happened over the years, but the very most important point is that Prabhupada always emphasized to remember Krishna. In the Nectar Devotion, Krishna says 65 times to always remember Krishna, never forget, some way, somehow, however you can, by any means. And so to tell about Krishna, how Krishna looks, you know, to how his beautiful curly hair and his black cobalt hair and his half-moon forehead and his upturned nose with the pearl at the end and the beautiful red lips and the pearl teeth that shine like diamonds and the kundalas that's in his ears that are shaped like sharks and his 3 lines on his neck and the dimple in his chin, you know, because Mother Yasoda used to press on his chin, so he's got this dent in his chin. And his chin is upturned like this because whenever he'd get caught stealing butter or doing some naughty thing, he'd always look down and Mother Yasoda would pick up his chin like this. So his chin is tipped up a little bit. And he's got a big broad chest with a golden hair called a Lakshmi hair on his left side and a Shrivasa, a silver hair that's on his right side. And his body shines like a mirror. And he's got a waist that's the size of a lion, or like the fist. It's very small. And he's got hips like a woman. And he plays 3 flutes, a Venu, a Vamsi, and a Murli. And he's got the gold and yellow dhoti that represents his bhav, his emotions, his sentiments toward Radharani, who has that same color skin. And Radharani, she wears a blue sari, representing her emotions, her sentiments toward Krishna. And they both have 19 signs on the bottom of their feet. Krishna has a barley corn, a chakra, an upward curving line, a lotus flower, an elephant goad, a flag, a lightning bolt, an umbrella, ashtakona or octagon, 4 swastikas and 4 jambufal. These are the 11 signs on Krishna's right foot. And on his left foot, you've got the conch shell, a sky emblem, a bow, and then you've got a cow's footprint. Then you've got the triangle, and then you got 4 water pots. Then you got a half moon, and then you got a fish. These are the 19 signs on the bottom of Krishna's feet. So Prabhupada, he was so, not only was he so great in the magnanimous qualities of giving love to everybody, but he gave us such confidential knowledge about the absolute truth. I mean, Prabhupada was always so careful, you know, to present Krishna consciousness in the most scientific way, to get our minds to be convinced. But he gave so many knowledge, so many books. You know, Prabhupada gave the commentary of the 10th canto called the Krishna book. That was the first book. Prabhupada required us to read 4 books: the Bhagavad Gita, Nectar Devotion, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and the Krishna book. That these were very essential. And Prabhupada says even in his own books that you should read the books of the Acharyas to develop a picture of the spiritual sky. Because what Prabhupada wanted more than anything else was that we become pure devotees and we go back to Godhead. That we serve Krishna with pure love and devotion. That was Prabhupada's message. That was what he came for, to give us Krishna prema. He was representing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and all of the 6 Goswamis, the Acharyas of our line, all the Gurus of our line, they all gave these wonderful scriptures describing Krishna's land, Krishna's home. You know, like Nanda Baba, Krishna's father, you know, and Mother Yasoda, they lived in a house that was 65 rooms. It was 7 floors high, a big mahal. And these 2 trees that they grew in the courtyard, they bestowed so much wealth and opulence that later became Nala Kuvera and Managriva, who were the sons of Kuvera, the wealth, the treasure of the demigods. And Krishna, when he was a little boy, he would come to those trees, and the trees knew that this is Swayam Bhagavan Krishna that took birth in Mother Yasoda's womb, and that he was now here to deliver pastimes. And they'd been begging for 36,000 years to leave, and now that they realized that Krishna had come, he's going to do Leela, now they were thinking, oh, we've been praying for the wrong thing. And now they were terrorized that they would have to become liberated. They did not want to become liberated. So then, of course, as you know the story, Krishna the Damodar, Krishna, Mother Yasoda, when he first caught Krishna around, she caught him around the belly. He did not catch his arm or catch his shoulder or his wrist. He didn't want to hurt Krishna. He's only a little boy. So Mother Yasoda put his arm around Krishna's belly. That is the actual Damodar, the rope of her arm around the belly of Krishna. And then tied him to the mortar, and then he simply touched those two trees. But probably he's given us so much access to the spiritual world that we can fill our minds with the picture of Goloka Vrindavan. And this is how we get rid of the material world. Our lust, our greed, our anger cannot be replaced by simple yoga or philosophy. It has to be done by hearing about Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes. And this is what Prabhupada emphasized on every page of the Bhagavatam. By constantly, and not every page, but every canto of the Bhagavatam, by constantly repeating the transcendental names, forms, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord, we become free of this material world. And so, this is what Prabhupada spent his whole life. I mean, he did, he was doing 64 rounds, then he lowered it down to 16 because of his service, but he was doing 64 rounds. He was also writing letters back to all the devotees. He was translating an incredible amount of literatures. He was traveling every 3 days, every 4 days he was traveling. Prabhupada he was a miracle man. He did things that nobody could have done. In fact, a lot of us disciples, we all think of Prabhupada as he was actually Krishna. Because even Lord Chaitanya himself only got 64 places done in India. And Prabhupada at 70 years old comes in and conquers the whole planet in just 10 years. So there's a big quality, who is he, It's an amazing thing, Srila Prabhupada, who he is and what he is and how he is and how he's entered into our hearts, that he never left us. Just like Krishna, when Krishna left Vrindavan for Mathura, the Vishnu, the Vasudeva expansion, separated from Krishna's body and went to Mathura. Krishna stayed in Vrindavan, hiding in the bushes or hiding in the hearts, according to who you're reading from. So Prabhupada did the same thing. He left physically, but he entered into our hearts, and he never left. Because, if you talk to any devotee who saw Srila Prabhupada, who talked to Srila Prabhupada, who had his darshan, it was something that was spectacular. Even devotees that are years later, 20 years later, they read Prabhupada's Leela Amrita, they fall in love, they join the Hare Krishna movement. So Prabhupada is powerful, he's eternal, he keeps going, he's still existing,